Do you ever feel like you are just behind in life? Like everything is lost because you didn't get that early start. You wasted years of your life and now you're like, is it too late? Can I still succeed even with this massive disadvantage? Because I know there are so many posts online like these ones that say like, oh yeah, I'm 22 now and I have done nothing. I have no direction in life. What do I do? Or I'm 25 now. It's way too late to really start my life. And it's just something that really, it saddens me to see. Because the truth is, life is long. And so what I want to do in this video is share some perspective. If you watch this until the end, I'm going to give you 4 actionable ways to think through this and to make sure that you can get ahead, even if you feel like you have been left behind for now. But before we go into those practical steps, let's look at the main issue. There used to be a day for your parents, or maybe you have had a little glimpse of this yourself if you're younger, where the people you compared yourself to were your family, your neighbors, the people at work. And that's basically it. Social media didn't exist like 30 years ago. Literally did not exist. And so the reason why so many people get stuck in, oh, it's over, everything is doomed, is because now you can compare yourself to the few people that make it big, when in reality before you could only compare yourself to the people around you. And the thing is, most people are on the same kind of trajectory. Most people just live their normal lives. However, the people who gain traction on social media, they're usually the exceptions. And so what is at play here is the survivorship bias. Meaning that for every celebrity, for example, there are thousands of people who want the same thing, but they didn't make it. But now, thanks to social media, you see that one person on your feed. And you see one person from this vertical, one person from this vertical, one person from this vertical, and from that vertical. You have maybe like 50 people that you really admire and look up to on social media, but you don't see the millions of people who wanted to do that same thing. The same people who wanted to have that success at that age. But now, because everything is open, everything is public, those are the people who rise to fame, to dominance. And it gives us this sense of, I guess that's normal, when in reality it's not. So for example, when we think about entrepreneurship, or the people who make it big on YouTube or in their career starting businesses, most successful entrepreneurs start their successful ventures in their 40s. After they have gotten real world experience in a certain career, they have gotten a couple of jobs, they have had their ass handed to them time and time and time and time again. And now with that experience they start. However, what gets traction on social media is the 18-year-old kid who made it happen. Is that the normal way of things? Not really, because 99% of people fail utterly, especially at that age. So first of all, I want you to be aware that not everything that you see on this thing is a true, like the way to see reality. It is a heavily skewed and biased view. Because for one, you see the people grow the most, who are the exceptions. And number two, even for those people and everybody else around you, you see the good side. Someone goes on a vacation and they take 50 pictures and they spread them out throughout the entire year to make it look like they have an exciting life. Well, in reality, it was maybe like 2 weeks of vacation in a year. But you don't see their struggles. You don't see the self-doubt that goes on inside of them. You don't see the worries about their bills for the coming months. You don't see those things because what you see for other people is the front they put up in here. And it gets fucking difficult because for yourself, you don't just see the things you're doing well. You also feel the emotions of the struggle, every setback, every frustration along the way, the worries, the doubts, the fears. You know those things about yourself. You don't notice them in other people. And so it gives you this perception that you can be very far behind, when in reality, you very well might not be. If you ever think it's too late for you to do something, let me share with you something from my grandma when she was about 90, 91 years old. At the time she was in a nursing home and she was still making new friends and playing things like cards with other people there. Making new friends at 90. And some people ask, I'm 30 now, is it too late to make friends? No, it motherfucking is not. Absolutely not. The only time when it is too late to try something new is the day you finally kick the bucket and it's all over. Until then, basically anything is possible. And so with that, let's move on to a little bit of perspective, and then we'll move into ways that you can move forward today in a way that's both healthy for your mental health and that helps you catch up and achieve your goals. So think about it this way. With the way technology is going, we are going to live until 100 plus, most likely. So for example, the way I put this in perspective, I am 30 years old right now, and by societal means of success, I have not achieved very much. But I am on that growth trajectory. Difficult word. But here's how I put it into perspective. With me living until 100, even if I fucked around and did nothing at all for the next 20 years, I'd still only be halfway of my life. The time that we all have on this planet is ridiculously long. Patience is a virtue. But don't confuse patience with complacency. We'll talk about that later on in this video. But for now, realize you have so much time. For example, if you are 25 years old right now, think about it like this. The day you were born and the age you are now. That's your lifetime so far. And you've got 3 entire lifetimes just like that ahead of you. Think about how long that has been. Because if you are not doing too well in terms of where you wanted to be, you know how long you've been into that state of mind. It feels like an eternity. But in reality, it might have been like 1 year out of the next 80 ahead of you. And so everything can change once you pick the right direction and you work at it 100% for a few years. And then you still have so much time ahead of you. For example, a lot of the famous people that you know and look up to. Maybe J.K. Rowling with her Harry Potter books. She wrote those, I believe, in her mid-40s. And Henry Ford, for example, I think he was in his late 40s, maybe early 50s, when he started Ford. So put that into perspective. Life doesn't end at 25. In fact, I would consider 1 to 25. That's like the tutorial of life. You are not behind, you have just gotten started. And in fact, our brains don't stop developing until we're roughly 25. Some people a little bit earlier, some a bit later. But the truth is, if you're in your mid-20s, you still aren't even a fully fleshed adult in terms of your brain development. And people expect that they can have everything figured out by that age. It is ridiculous. Searching for the meaning of your life, what you were meant to do, how you're going about doing it. That is a lifelong journey. And you're gonna find out so much about yourself as you grow older, as you try and experience new things. That's the beauty of life. At age 20, you're gonna think, oh yeah, I've got everything figured out. And at age 25, you're like, oh my God, that 20-year-old version of myself, that was such a dumbass. And then at 35, you have the same thing about your past self. That's what it's like to grow as a person. That's a lifelong journey. So don't think of this like, I need to get ahead of everybody else around me. think of this as I am going to become the best version of myself over time. I know that good work takes time, it takes patience. And so I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna work diligently, while I know that good things take that time. And I have this long-term approach. So with that said, let's look at some of the main things that you can do right now to make this better. Number one, the main reason why this is such a problem for people is that I want to look good to others. It is the need of, oh, if I have this material success, people are gonna like me better, people are gonna respect me more, and I am gonna fit in. However, what I want to ask you is the following. Think about what it is that you want to get out of life. And now think about and ask yourself, why do you want to get these things? Is this something that you want purely because you love doing it? And it's actually something that you just adore doing? Or is this something where you're like, you know what? My parents always told me that I should get a job in accounting. Or my parents would like me to finish my studies. Or my parents would like me to do this. Or if I take this kind of job, people will respect me. Are you doing things because you want to do it? Because it's intrinsic? And it's like, I love this, this is my way forward? Or is this something that's like, you're doing it because of other people? That is something to truly think about. So for me, yes, I would love to get more status by reaching more people with this channel. Absolutely. But the thing is, the reason why I'm doing this intrinsically is because I used to be bullied. I used to be depressed. I used to have anxiety. I used to have no social skills whatsoever. I believed that I was the hugest fucking loser. And over time, I have gotten from that state that it's like not even here. It's like all the way down there, 10 feet under. That's the mental state that I came from. And now I've moved myself up. And that was a process of years. Literally over a decade that I had to rebuild myself. So I feel you when you say that it feels like you're behind in life. I feel the same way. But in the same time, I put things into perspective of knowing that I have 70, 80 years ahead of me. And that it only takes 3 or 4 years of dedication and effort to change everything around 180 degrees. And so that's something to keep in mind. But for me, it starts with that intrinsic value of wanting to help other people. Just like yourself if you're watching this. And by the way, if you still are watching this, give this video a quick thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And my intrinsic value, the reason I'm here, is because I want to help other people to avoid the same kind of pain, same kinds of struggle that I have been through. And for that, really think about the things that you want to achieve right now. Are you doing it for you? Are you doing it for other people? And if it's something where you're like, damn, Michael, shit, I am doing this for other people. Now it's time to really do some introspection. Experience other things in the world. Try different things. Figure out and ask yourself, what do I like to do? And I'm gonna put a video in the top right corner there that's gonna help you figuring that out. It's what I call the candy store of life. So after this video, you can watch that one next if you're still not sure what it is that you want to do with your life. For you, not for other people. And with that said, let's move on to the next practical steps. And after this, remember there are 2 more things that I want to give you. So the second thing is what I call aggressive patience. Just the other day I had a job interview where the employer was like, what do you mean by that? Because I put it in one of my core values on my resume. And the way I explained it was this. It is the difference between the micro level and the macro level. Because patience doesn't mean that you're complacent. Patience means that if you want to build something great, like a career, like a business, like yourself. That takes time. It's gonna take years. And if you want to have something that is really great, it's gonna take decades. And so I don't think about, I need to reach this thing next month, or next week, or next day. That's how so many people think about their goals. I think of this as, I'm gonna put in the work now, and this is gonna pay off years and decades down the line. I am thinking along the lines of reaching literally millions of people with this channel a month. And I know that is something that is years out from where I am right now, today. And maybe if you're watching this at some point in the future, I will have achieved it. Or maybe I won't. Who knows? The thing is, I realized at a macro level, it takes time. It takes a lot of effort, dedication, and years of my life. In the micro, however, I'm not sitting there like, you know what, everyone has their time and I'm just gonna sit back, watch some video games in the meanwhile and hope that things happen. No, every day on the micro level, I am taking action. I'm giving it my all. I'm looking like, what can I do today? Not tomorrow, not next day, not next week or next month. What can I do today? That's gonna bring me this much forward towards where I want to go. And now one tip I have for you in this regard is to not look all the way there. Because if you have a big goal, that horizon out there is very far away. Instead, look the other way. Look back to how far you've come. And then you can see, oh, you know what? I am doing a little bit better than I was last week. And a bit better still than I was last month. And once you can see those incremental changes to who you are, to what you can accomplish, to your dreams, your goals, now that makes a huge difference. And now you can put this into perspective of like, you know what? I am making this path upwards. And slowly but surely you will get to that finish line. Aggressive patience, meaning take relentless action now, but realize that it's not going to be until some point in the future where you're really gonna see the results. One example of this, to put this into perspective, is if you go to the gym one day. You're not gonna see the results. If you go a few times, still not much progress in terms of the way you look. However, if you go consistently for months, now you're gonna see the results starting to compound. Your real life success, the material things, the body if you're into fitness, those are things that are on a rolling continuum. They are lagging behind the thing that actually matters, which is the effort you put in today. It's also why it's so difficult to change a lot of our habits. Because we want to do better. But in the moment, it is hard, it is difficult. You would much rather watch Netflix or watch some show than to put in hours of work. I know that. I would rather do that as well. But then I remind myself of that thing in the future and why I need to be relentless right in this moment. So hopefully that puts things into perspective. Moving on then to the third thing, which is the concept of the last mile. And for this I'm gonna take the analogy from Dr. K, aka The Healthy Gamer, where recently I watched one of his videos and he put it so eloquently. And what he did was he used the analogy of going to the gym. The first 5 reps or so, you're not really training your muscles that well. The first 5 reps are just like this. It's very easy. And then 6 until, like, let's say 8. Now you're starting to feel like, this is starting to get heavy. And then those 9 and 10. Now you're like, oh my God, I can't do it. And you're struggling and your muscles are just tensing up. And those last 2 reps, that's where almost all of your muscle growth happens. The same thing with the weight you're using. If I use the 30 kilogram weights at a machine and I keep doing that for 6 months, at some point I'm gonna get results if I've never been to the gym. But after that, I'm gonna stay stagnant because I'm not pushing myself into the last mile. And what this means is that if you want to catch up in life, if you feel like you've been left behind, most people are staying in their comfort zone, that 1 to 6 rep range in this analogy. Meaning they're just doing something to stay afloat, but they're not really growing, they're also stagnant. So what it means is that you don't need to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times as much. It is about that last 10 or 20% of effort. If all you did in the gym was that first 8 reps, you don't get the growth. If you do the 9th and the 10th, and maybe you push yourself with the amount of weight, now you're gonna see way more growth potential. Because you push yourself just that little bit further. The good news is, it has never been easier to get ahead of other people in life. Because everybody is complaining about everything. Nobody is taking accountability, taking responsibility for their own life. Everybody is blaming the economy or the president or the government or whatever. There are so many things. And while people are just on this thing, on social media, arguing back and forth with each other, it doesn't take very much to learn new skills, to get ahead, to move your life in the direction that you want. And remember, do it for reasons intrinsic to you, not to please the external world around you. But once you start knowing of this direction, that's what I'm going for, then apply just a little bit more than most people, which is not very hard to do. But once you apply this concept of the last mile, of doing the simple things and then going above and beyond, that last part is what makes all of the difference. And that's what's allowing you to catch up, even if you feel like you're left behind. Which, as we talked about, is a ridiculous notion to begin with, because life is long and you have multiple lifetimes from the day you were born until now ahead of you. Multiple, maybe 3, 4 if you're younger, maybe even 5 fucking lifetimes that you have ahead of you. So don't fall into this rush. You don't need to impress other people. You might have heard people say, oh, don't compare yourself to others, or comparison is the thief of joy. To which I say, fucking bullshit. Comparing yourself to other people is a great thing, if you can use it to draw inspiration to yourself. So it's no use to look at other people who have achieved the things that you want to do and say, oh well, I can never do this. You can look at it through the lens of the pessimist, and the pessimist is always right. If you believe you can never do it and that other people are just lucky, or it's just good because they are them and I'm just little old me, if you have that mindset, you're not going to put in the work required to pull it off. And in results, you are right. That's what I mean when I say the pessimist is always right, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that spirals all the way down. And look, this time I didn't even hit my desk in the process. Progress, right? Instead, when you use comparison, look for the people that have achieved the things that you want to achieve and use that as an inspiration. And better yet, look at the steps they have taken to get from where they were to where they are now. Because success leaves clues. If you follow similar steps to the people who have already achieved what it is you want to achieve, you are going to get similar results. And with comparison, the key pitfall to watch out for is the following. If you see people who have already achieved what you want to achieve, they are absolutely not better than you. Absolutely not. They are ahead of you. Because the truth is that behind every overnight success, There is years of honing their skills. There is years of trial and error. There are years when they have dedicated themselves to something. One example that springs to mind right now is Martin Garrix. He has been the #1 DJ for a couple of years. And he really got big when he was like 16, 17, maybe 18 years old. Something like that. People are like, oh my god, he made it at such a young age. He must be a genius. But he really started playing and making music when he was 5 or 6 years old. That's a decade. A decade of hard work where music was his entire fucking life. And then at some point he became an overnight success. So don't think of other people like being better. They are just ahead. They have put in more work, more reps. They have failed dozens more times than you have even tried. That's what sets them apart. Not luck, not genetics for the most part, not their incredible charisma, because again, that's a skill that can be trained. The main difference here is time. They have done things for longer. And when you focus, which is an acronym for follow one course until success. Once you are focused and you know this direction is what I'm heading in. Once you back that up with aggressive patience, meaning doing everything you can today while realizing it's going to take you years. Because the truth is most people vastly underestimate the amount of effort, work and time that goes into achieving any worthwhile goal. But as long as you go above and beyond, you use this concept of the last mile to catch up, you will get there. However, where people go wrong, like I shared, is that I fall victim to needing things short term to impress people that they don't really care about that much. Who the fuck cares if your neighbor thinks you're doing better than them? Who cares? Do this for you. And so to recap, the answer is no. It is absolutely not too late. If you're not where you wanted to be when you're 20 years old, when you're 25 years old, when you're 28 years old, when you're 30 like me, when you're 44, you have a lot of time, period. Gigantuous amounts of time. As things are going, we're all probably gonna live until 100 plus. So even if you fuck around for years, or a decade, or 2 decades, you have time to catch up. It is never too late to learn a new skill. It is never too late to try something new until the day everything ends. And in order to really help you with that, try to stay off this thing for as much as possible. Because you are only going to see the exceptions rather than most people around you. Actually, you can use that if you use it as an inspiration. But if you know that you look at other people and you're scrolling and you're like, oh, why not me? If you know that's your attitude, then try to stay off it. If you can look at the other things of other people succeeding and you're like, yes, I want this too, and it motivates you, it inspires you to take more action, then go for it by all means. But remember, if you're on your phone on social media, be the creator. Be the person inspiring others. Be the person creating the content or doing the work that matters to you. Or at least be on there learning something. Don't let this thing be your distraction. Because if you're scrolling on your phone all day, you are only going to set yourself further behind. Because that's simply not anything productive. It's not something that's going to get you towards the life that you desire. Third thing is to remember the concept of the last mile. In that analogy of going to the gym, the first 5 reps are not going to do much for your muscle growth. It is the last few when you're like struggling and you can barely lift the weights up. That's where your growth happens. And that's where it happens in anything in life. Push yourself beyond the point where things feel uncomfortable. Because that's where most people stop. Most people go all the way until here, when in reality it is this last part here that's gonna give them the growth. So when you are the person who pushes through the discomfort, you are the person who ends up winning. But remember, it is a fucking marathon. Life is incredibly long, but don't waste it. I am here to tell you that no matter what age you are right now, you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. But if you're not sure what that thing is, go ahead and watch this video next, because it's going to help you get more clarity in your life.